Hello, welcome and welcome back. This is Jacob and today we are gonna be continuing the narration and character voice acting for the side story Zwillingstürme im Herbst. Alright, part 4 and today, crazy shenanigans. That was a lot of shenanigans there. But anyway, shenanigans. Crazy ones. But before we do so, to anybody who bumps into the narration through this very episode, the playlist is linked both in the description of the video and in the pinned comment down below, so you can just hit it and enjoy the story from the beginning, and thank you very much. And speaking of thank yous, as always guys, thank you very much for all the comments and the likes of the previous part and parts in general. And considering I've been doing this for the past couple of parts anyway, on the previous part there was another comment that had me going like, huh, well that would be a thing. If it would ever happen, or if there would be like a flashback scene to it being displayed. But yeah, as given to us by one Mandalore Order in a comment thread actually, as they said, imagine Fremont in the same room as certain members of the military commission, aka the Sanguinarch and the Confessarius. Yeah, the level of snark on that guy would be amazing just to hear him berate the shit out of those two. Hey, and just for the fun of it, add the Nachtzer in there, just to hear how that would all go down. Oh boy, I read that and my brain just froze for a moment. Was like, oh god, that is a room to be a fly on the wall. Just to listen in, right? Oh boy. But yeah, Mando, thank you very much for that comment. That made me, that amused the shit out of me. Never crossed my mind, but now that you said it, that's a scene I want to see. But yeah, anyway, we're gonna do the quick recap of the previous part now. So for those of you who wanna skip, the timestamp is down below in the pinned comment. Alright, but on the previous part, we began pretty much in the middle of the chaos at the university, where pretty much everybody seems to be enjoying some nice illusions, but also going absolutely batshit insane, as the students are fighting each other, the gendarmerie is experiencing their own hallucinations, and Gerhard is trying to extract the voice of the mundane out of Ebenholz's head. Meanwhile, Arturia and Federico finally run into each other, or rather he runs into her finally. And in the meantime, Viviana runs into the tower to help as many people as possible. And our one and only Gesetzeswächter that is present at the university, Brandt, decides to erect the golden barrier around the university, all in the terms of, well, this shit needs to go down. And the only one who will survive the crumbling of the university will be Fremont anyway. So getting every single remnant of the Witch King that is in there would be a benefit. But things don't go really his way. First off, Ebenholz gets busted out of the clutches of the Remnants and Gerhard's clutches by Lessing, who pretty much goes one man against an army and succeeds. But also, Fremont appears in the same chamber to have a little bit of a discussion with Gerhard, who does try to still use the witchcraft of the Witch King. Meanwhile, Michael runs out of the university and finds Brandt and informs him that Viviana is still in there. And through the arts of Arturia, he experiences some illusions of his own machinations, where he experiences, or rather remembers, some vows and some discussions from his past, and wavers, and in favor of letting Arturia live, in favor of letting Viviana live, he drops the curtain, and as he does so, first off, Arturia escapes, and second off, the Urtica chamber that was below, or rather next below to the university, rises from the ground and pretty much displays the same characteristics as the Witch King's spire once upon a time. Everybody upon seeing that thing freaks the hell out, but it doesn't persist for too long as Grimmacht descends literally from the skies and shatters the thing to pieces. Again, that should have been a CG. It wasn't, sadly. But anyway, she shatters the thing to pieces. Gerhard managed to escape, even though he suffered some very serious damage from using the arts of the Witch King and is about to pretty much die. He runs into Arturia, who pretty much sends him on his way with a couple of her own cello melodies and illusions, and he passes soon after that. She does get cornered again by Federico, but Federico does not get to apprehend her as the voices appear, and they apprehend her instead and put her in prison, essentially. And she's one of their prime suspects. Meanwhile, the Liches, or rather Fremont, in a conversation with Grimmacht, declares that the Liches will be retreating for good from Leithanien. In the meanwhile, Ebenholz and Lessing, who are also in the spire still, hear a cello being played. Not Arturia's, but they hear a musical composition being played that has been played by a certain someone in the past that Ebenholz knows pretty well, and as he's being rattled by the music, not because it's the same music, but because it is being played in the same way with the same emotions, he runs in a panic essentially to find very quickly who is playing the melody, finds a young student of the university who apparently learned the music from one Arturia. Later on, Federico, as he does not know what to do now, is pretty much just going around and is about, or rather was about to leave rather, back to Laterano, but is together with Michael. The two of them get intercepted by Jan. The young man says that Loris left him with a bunch of materials and files that he does not know what to do with, but offers them to Federico to see if Federico can pursue the case further that Loris left behind, which is essentially the case of Jan's sister who disappeared all those years ago. Federico accepts, goes to the residence of Loris, and sees that yes, Loris indeed, even though the case for Julia has been dropped all those years ago, proceeded to get as many data as possible and clues as possible and put everything together and left all of that behind. Federico, in the same room, sits down at the piano, does a melody that is without any kind of emotion in there, and gets immediately berated and dissed by Michael on top of that. Realizes though that Arturia's plan is not done yet. There is more to come. As the two of them are leaving, they run into Viviana, and the two of them form an alliance. Viviana busts into the cell where Arturia is being held, and the two of them have a little discussion. Not before Viviana pretty much lares her heart out to Arturia, and as that is done, through the further conversation, Viviana learns that the Güldenes Gesetz has a bigger role to play in this whole plot. As they realize that there will probably something happen later during the Kaiserinnenfest that is about to take place, Michael runs to Grimmacht to inform her that the fest has to be either postponed or something, that the remnants of the Witch King will definitely do something during it, but gets told that there is no way to postpone it, as the Kaiserinnenfest isn't just a musical concert that is being held once per year, on the same day that the Witch King fell all those years ago, but it is also a ritual, essentially, a musical ritual that does something very peculiar. Therefore, it cannot be stopped. It has to take place. Meanwhile, Ebenholz and Lessing are also arriving at the venue and are mingling with the nobles, essentially, in the amphitheater, and are overseeing and trying to look out if anything will go wrong. Viviana is also present, trying her also darnest together with Federico to see if they can stop the concert from happening. And indeed, the concert goes off and something does seem wrong, as certain elements of the Remnants start to appear everywhere on the venue, the melody is off, and as Viviana discovers, the person that was accompanying her, or that she is very attached to, considering their past together from so many years ago, Cora, seems to be the very elusive concert master that was behind the scenes working with the Remnants for so long. And that is where we left off. So let's continue, shall we? So then, last time we left off on the middle of stage 6, so let us continue from here. But before we do so, we had one new enemy to add here before we get into the scene, so let's rattle this one off very quickly. We have the Remnant Orchestra Tuner, a musician who wants to tune for their king. He seeks the harmony of origin so that all sounds may be consonant. Good for him. Once again, stage 6 is titled Waltz, Mask. The ball is finally over and the dancers remove their masks. But why can I still not see your face? So let's begin where we left off with the after scene. I was 15 when I entered the Witch King's Spire. I came from an ordinary family in Kreis Einwald. I should not have been able to become a noble's attendant, but I heard that Herkunftshorn made no distinction between nobles and commoners. This was not because he treated commoners particularly well, but because he looked down equally on all who cowered at the foot of his throne. At first my job was to clean his instruments, but Herkunftshorn no longer played ordinary music, and those instruments had no meaning. Later I was sent to clean the resonance pipelines at the top of the spire. It was not a difficult job, but Herkunftshorn would not tolerate even a single speck of dust in them. My colleagues came and went. Few got to leave on their own 2 feet. In the end, I was the only one left, quietly cleaning at the top of the tower. And 1,000 sunrises and sunsets later, the Witch King's Spire fell. Cut off the way down! Attention all squads! Find the Sancta. Do not allow her to enter the amphitheater and interrupt the performance of the Guldenesgesetz. The target is known to use unusual arts. You have permission to kill if necessary. Hello. Were you looking for me? But bury her up! Get information! Catch her! Arturia Giallo. Leithanien took you in when you became a pariah in Laterano. Countless nobles honored you for your remarkable musical talent. The Kaiserin granted you rights equivalent to Spire nobility. So return to your cell and submit to them, and they may yet allow you to live. That was never an option. What point is there to living if I can't play freely? Then accept your death. Your arts have gotten stronger. You missed your chance to break out, Sancta. The Guldenesgesetz is in progress. Do you see the scene outside? Your parlor tricks are meaningless before the golden glory of Leithanien. Yes, I can feel that your will is firmer than ever. But is it your will expressing that music, or has the melody convinced you that what you see is what you think? That's irrelevant. The golden melody guides me. My will echoes along with it. You, our enemy, will melt before Leithanien's radiance... She's gone? An illusion? But there was no music! Why does everyone keep assuming that I create illusions? I warned you. When your emotions are being controlled by a melody that doesn't belong to yourself, you can easily overlook the reality before you, like where I moved to in that radiance. Behind the barrier. Too late. Now, I would like to ask you to kindly move the arts cast on my instrument. There, it's clean now. Danke. How did we lose to you? Normally, I wouldn't stand a chance, but your souls have become stiff and inflexible due to the bindings of the Goldenes Gesetz, creating innumerable weaknesses in your arts. But why? With arts like these, you could have changed your destiny, enjoyed wealth, fame, and favor beyond reckoning. What meaning is there in defying the Kaiserinnen? I think we have very different views on the meaning of meaning. Fame, fortune, status, all merely accessories to a soul that will eventually wither and rot with the passage of time. Kufus, Baga, or myself, the only difference is in the whispers of our hearts. I want to climb the tallest spire because of a melody, a soul, and a future. And for a promise I made to a friend. "10 years had passed since the death of the Witch King. I was attending the funeral of an old friend. After the funeral, I saw Sancta with her cello in the amphitheater below the twin spires. Others came and went, but she stood there from noon until sundown. According to legend, even the clouds stopped for the Witch King when he played up on his spire. I wonder, do the clouds remember what the spire looked like back then? I suppose not. Clouds change so quickly after all. My teacher often told me of how he stood beneath the Witch King's spire while it was still standing, playing for the sole sovereign of Leithanien. The golden red clouds embraced the dark spire like an extravagant robe. He wanted to come back and see the spectacle again, but wasn't allowed to participate in the Kaiserinnenfest. In fact, he could barely get permission to leave his home. Herr Emanuel was one of the Witch King's musicians, after all, even if just for a short while. Times were hard for him after the Witch King's demise. Few came to say their goodbyes, and you were the only one to truly shed tears for him. I heard your playing at the funeral. It was very touching. Danke. But it doesn't bring even the slightest bit of comfort to my teacher. I asked to play for him while he was still alive, but he refused. During his days of pain and hardship, he refused to dwell on the happiness of the past, nor did he seek any change. He simply shut himself in his room, playing the Goldenes Gesetz over and over again. Through that unchanging melody, he drowned himself in Leithanien's greatness, forgetting love, forgetting hate, and forgetting himself. Yet when faced with death, his heart was still filled with regret. I've heard far too much regret over these long years. My image of Herr Emanuel remained that of the energetic old man who thanked you with a hearty laugh when you passed him his instrument. I heard that in the end he was too weak to even lift a bow. I thought that without the shadow of the Witch King's spire, the skies of Leithanien would change greatly. I thought that going from Vidunian to Zwillingstürme, from the Witch King's spire to the Twin Empresses spires, the melody echoing in the dusk would be somehow different. But both then and now, we are like the clouds, unable to control where we drift. You! Why are you not going downstairs? I have no interest in this sort of concert. A melody that
binds the listener's will is just another form of law. How did you know? As complex as your arts are, their structure is clearly visible to those familiar with Originium arts and music. In that sense, it's different from Laterano's law. Music should come from the unrestrained breathing of the soul, but you turn it into a cornerstone of order, all to control people's wills and wear down their emotions. True bonds between souls are growing weaker. People are increasingly unable to understand one another, unable to respect the emotions of one another, and as such do harm to one another. Such a rigid melody is no music at all. We're almost at the top. I should start preparing for the next piece before this one ends. It's almost time to make good on our promise, isn't it? As you said, this is a good place to play or listen.
Is this my deepest memory?
Yes.
Sorry.
Why apologize? Very few have invited me to play their heart's music of their own accord. Most did whatever they could to escape. Yet you have bared your soul to me. For that I am grateful and overjoyed.
I just thought I could show you the depth of the Witch King through my memories.
My music simply follows the melody of your heart. It cannot decide what you recall. All I can do is feel your emotions and recreate them.
Sounds like sculpting, then.
You could say that. I discover and record, rather than changing one's true visage. There is only one reason we cannot enter the Witch King's spire in your memories. Whenever you recall his death, there is a hand that truly moves your emotions. A hand that grabbed you amidst that great flood of arts. Whose hand was it?
Whose hand was it? It was...
Look out! They're coming one after another. Federico and I will try to hold them off. You're blind, and it's too risky. Grab my hand and stay close.
You're so much like him.
You mean my father?
This is just like when he grabbed me under the Witch King's spire. He grabbed the hand of a servant he'd never met and protected me through one wave of arts after another.
You were in the spire the night the Witch King died. You never told me that was how you met.
Yeah. I had just lost my sight and was covering before the half-collapsed stairs. Neither the Witch King's guards nor the twins' soldiers would have paid any heed to a humble servant. Instead, a squad from Stormland found me. It was led by Vanna, looking for his missing father and brother in the spire. His heart must have been fraught with worry, but he couldn't ignore me shivering in a corner, and pulled me out of the ruins himself.
That sounds like him, all right. I would have done the same.
You're both good people. Very good people. It's such a shame that...
Why are you covering my ears?
No need to be afraid, Viviana. It'll pass. This will all pass. What's happening? The music has changed. It's hideous. My head. Who's attacking me? It's like someone stuffed 1,000 screaming foul beasts into my brain. These fireworks too, the colors. It's so crass. This is wrong. This isn't right. Am I playing it wrong? Is everyone wrong? Help from Stormland. Are you alright? Don't touch me. I don't know who you are, and I don't want to know. Are you the one who played it wrong? Are you trying to break something? Everything? Something went wrong with the melody. But how could everyone be wrong at the same time? And how could a simple mistake lead to something so painful? Look at the Twin Empresses spires. It's him, Hakon. I recognize that anywhere. His power is eating away at the Gildness Gesetz. The Witch King's remnants. Where are they? I know there were some left. It's time to fight, Lessing. You're not affected? By a few dark clouds? After what I've had to live with in my head every day of my life? The Gildness Gesetz itself, though. It made me miss Urtica. Now that is deeply disturbing. That's the power of the movement. It defines Leithanien and its beliefs. I don't want someone else deciding what I should miss, what I should love, and what I should praise. But I'm guessing that whoever it is that's sabotaging the performance is after more than just pranking the Kaiserinnen and the nobles outside Zwillingstürme. Enemy on your left. I know. Your side too. Let's do this together. I didn't think anyone would retain their senses. For once, I'm grateful for everything you've done to me. Pain and chaos in my brain are like old friends by now. Good work. You too. So why are you acting just fine, while everyone else is in agony? I'm beginning to suspect that you're a lich-sculpted wooden puppet. I was trained from a very young age to deal with this kind of situation. And what kind of situation would that be? The collapse of the Gildness Gesetz. Please tell me you're joking. Do you see the golden glow rising over the edge of the amphitheater? I've never seen so many Gesetzeswächter in one place at the same time. Her Majesty's orders. Surround Gnade Avenue and Macht Avenue. Do not allow the corrupted Gildness Gesetz to spread.
So many Gesetzeswächter and gendarmerie. The entire Zwillingstürme Hof will be locked down before long.
It's no use. It's too late. Hakon is back. The one true king has returned to a Leithanien that rightfully belongs to him.
Quiet, please. We're leaving.
Viviana.
Cora, please promise me, don't say or do anything for now. I might have tried something if it were just Hereina, but there are too many of them, and each one the equal of a knight champion.
Why do you not speak? Why should we hide now that the curtain is about to rise? Our dream, our obsession, the moment for which we have been given blood and soul is finally upon us. So why is there no joy on your face? Concert
I told you to be quiet. You knew. Since when? I visited Marigot Alley before I went to see Arturia. I wanted to see those drawings again, the images that gave me such warmth. But I didn't find anything. All the drawings, the ones with marigolds in them, the ones with clues leading to the Witch King, all gone. You took them, didn't you? I only needed to take the ones containing the clues. But I couldn't bear to part with the marigolds either. My suspicions were confirmed the moment you told me that you were there the night the Witch King died. When you cleaned the canvas back then, you left the spot untouched, the part showing you. The Witch King's remnants were after witnesses of the Witch King's death. And you were one of them. But you're different from the others. You're not an innocent victim. I didn't want to say it. I didn't even want to ask. Why couldn't I be selfish just this once? I'm sorry. I really am sorry, Viviana. Why? Why do I have to lose something I only just found?
We should fight together, Concertmaster. The Gazette's right are here. We've come so far, it would be a shame to die at their hands now.
The amphitheater is a scene of chaos. The tuning continues. The Ludwigs-Universität incident already proved that only the Kaiserinnen could fight the Herkunftshahn's arts. What would the twins think of my little show of selfishness, of betrayal? I am not especially concerned. Do you believe that the Guldnes Gesetz can completely change its tone?
I only care about the result.
The last person to rewrite the Guldnes Gesetz was Herkunftshahn, but even he did not consider its destruction. The movement is the foundation on which Leithanien is built. Its destruction will undermine everything. Our aesthetics, our habits and usage of arts, the Kurfürsten system, the imperial authority. It will bring unprecedented change to Leithanien. But change isn't necessarily bad. If it were, we would never have been born. A pair of children born of art, in defiance to the laws of nature. This is just the beginning. That's what Fremont said to Leopold. We were but infants at the time, but I knew you understood what they said as well as I did. We were born with a duty to change Leithanien. Leopold was afraid of us, which is why he had an army ready to tear us apart from behind the moment we killed Herkunftshahn. But we survived. We may not have chosen to be born, but once we were, we had a right to live. 23 years ago, we stood here gazing at the same sunset, over an altogether different scene of chaos. You extended your hand to me before we began our long-awaited duet. You said, "This sunset doesn't belong to anyone. Not to Herkunftshahn, not to Leopold, not to the Kurfürsten, nor to any other ambitious noble." Yeah. You took my hand and we walked here together. There is no need to answer to the Kurfürsten, no need to be manipulated by anyone. Our fate is ours alone to decide. And apparently, someone else shares the same desire. Such a curious thing, the human soul. The thing that even artificial children would learn human desire after gaining souls. That through a wish as simple as can be, the meek may be able to accomplish what even Herkunftshahn failed to, and redefine Leithanien. You want to ask whether I left Cora roam free on purpose, don't you? Are you not of the same mind on this matter? Our thoughts are linked, even if it's been a long time since the two of us have watched the sunset together. Let's stay a while. It won't take long.
Very well.
What will the future look like? Would you still watch it with me, Hildegard?
Where's Cora? Viviana?
I could hear Brand's voice. He's fighting the remaining cultists. They won't last long. But the other is even faster. Viviana is silent, but her arts draw closer. I feel a shadow creep over the top of my foot, as cold as a storm at night. Look out, Concertmaster! Concertmaster! How my arts went through? This is tuning? Why? I'm sorry, Emily. Like I said, my decision has never changed. It's nothing. We've betrayed so many in our lifetimes, perhaps too many. Herkunftshahn's eternal spire. It's so close. I'll be waiting for you on the stairs. Concertmaster. Amelia must have turned to dark dust before me. This is how it is for the Witch King's followers. They don't want their bodies to linger on a land that lacks Hakon's favor. She's dead. Most of them are. The remaining resistance will not last long. And the same for me, I suppose. You deceived the followers of Hakon's. Yeah. The Kaiserin instruction was to become the concertmaster of the Witch King's followers, to become a hope and a lure, and to lead them into the abyss by their own volition. It's been 23 years. Everything about the Witch King, the long nightmares, the deep-rooted fears, the meaningless ambition, should have been gone from this country a long time ago. So why is the tuning still going? Because... Viviana. Did the Kaiserin order father's death? I tried to persuade him. I tried so hard. I wanted him to hand over the copy of Gulden's so I could move it elsewhere, but he was concerned that the Witch King Remnants would catch on, thus nullifying the bait. I asked him if maybe Brandt could arrive at the scene earlier and save him at the scene of the attack, but he refused. He said he was already dying and would soon get to see Lucinda. A few more days wasn't worth dragging both you and Sturmland into it. But you'd have gotten there if only he'd held on out for a few more hours or less. He was too determined to leave and gave up too easily. The day Viviana died, I recovered a copy of the movement and watched you return to Sturmland, walking the path paved for you, so similar to his. And I made the choice that had long been brewing in my heart. The Gulden's. You're using Hakon's arts to tune the music. You're trying to destroy it, or rather to the influence it holds over all Leithanians. They say that fate is an endless spiral staircase. If so, the Gulden's is the staircase trapping Leithanien. Stairs built 1,000 years ago, glorious and beautiful on the outside, yet rotted to the core on the inside. I've seen so many people trapped within. Herr Emanuel, Gerhard, Frida, Doris, and Brandt, all suffering the tidings of fate, helpless to change it. The Witch King's spire fell, yet more rose to take its place. Those beneath the spires wish to climb them, while those atop them aspire to an even higher perch. They come and go, up and down, an endless waltz of hatred and conflict, pain, sorrow, and regret, filling the souls of one generation of Leithanians after another. You too, Viviana. Once you enter the Kaiserin and spires, you will only speak what they want you to. I can see. I have already seen how you will be forced to live a life you don't want, just like your father before you. The Gulden's never changes, Leithanien never changes, tragedy never changes. Unless we free ourselves from the movement of the past. You say you want to change our fate, but who are you to decide who gets saved and who gets sacrificed? I can't. It's not my place, nor is it anyone's. You want to destroy the old order, but where is the new order? Can you guarantee it will be better than yesterday or today? I can't. Our future isn't for someone like me to decide. Those who decide for the plan, who died for the plan, and the people right before us, don't you realize the pain they're in? I hear them, their screams, their laments. I will never stop hearing them, not until the day I die. Then why do you have to be the one to change everything? Because I can. That's the only reason? Someone has to. My life never had much meaning to begin with, except for one speck of light that never truly belonged to me, and I would do anything to keep it from going out. I can't condone your cruelty, arrogance, or irresponsibility. And as such, I must stop you. Of course. Disaster has already struck, and by my hand. I've caused so much death, with even more to come. Just stop this! I can't, not after what it took to get this far. Do you know what it is about your actions I agree with the least? You really are heartless.
No! Viviana! Cora! Cora!
I know. You're soft on the outside but firm on the inside. You just can't turn your back on others people's pain. You don't want to make things difficult for Brandt either. You're always thinking of others, even now. And I'm glad I got to die at the hands of the one I loved the most. I'm sorry. Are the clouds beautiful today? No need to be afraid, Viviana. It'll pass. This will all... She embraces me. I can feel her hand on my back, trembling. I want to hug her and comfort her like I used to. Perhaps I did. I talked so much even though I had already begun to go numb from blood loss. I can imagine her lake-like eyes beginning to rain, her gentle complexion warped by torment. She only just learned that I've never clearly seen the faces of her father and mother. Through Vanna's words, I could only imagine how they looked, how they met, and how they fell in love. After all, I went into the Dark Spire the day I came to Vidunian, and the day I left it, I could no longer see. Everything I know that's nice and beautiful, including Brandt, was brought to me by Vanna and Lucinda. Except for one thing. Except this. The day that Vanna brought the girl down from the spire to me, the day that I touched her soft, timid hand, the day that I wiped away her tears. That was the day I became certain of it. I loved this child, and not because she was their daughter, but because I saw in her something that none of us had. You deserve a better life than this, Viviana. If there really is one. "23 years ago, I heard the sound of fighting from below and gave the resonance pipeline at the top of the spire a little push. Just a little push, something anyone could do. It created the tiniest gap in Hakon Sahn's defensive arts. He had never imagined that a humble maidservant would have the courage to betray him. Today I tampered with the resonance pipelines of the Twin Empresses spires. All I did was restore the Witch King's tuning components, according to the arts he left behind in the copy of the Guldengesatz, then activate them with my own humble arts. Life is too short. Do nothing and you leave no trace behind, like the clouds floating past the spires. But no one should drift with the wind like that, unable to determine their own future. Many desires change. I'm just the first to extend my hand. I hope that after this, all good people, all the people I love, will have a true future."
Man, what else to say, right? Ebenholz and Viviana just don't seem to be able to catch a break. They just can't. It just happens. It just keeps happening to them. But anyway, we move on to stage number 7, titled Concerto, Resurrection. Sin long renounced has caught up to me. Enemies long vanquished have risen again. Let's begin.
The clouds about Zwillingstürme are floating so freely. Is this what you wanted to see at the end? Yeah. Your music helped me see. Incredible. Not through my eyes, but through my mind. I gave Viviana a few hints as you wished. She wanted so much to have a real family, but she didn't follow her strongest emotions. Nein, my dear Freund. It was her feelings for everyone that led to her decision to kill me. Are you satisfied? Why wouldn't I be? I greeted death under the gaze of the one I loved. No need to mourn for me. This is the best end a sinner like me could hope for. Danke. Thanks to you, both Viviana and I will go further. Your emotions will vanish into thin air before long. When the music ends, the strings may continue to vibrate for a while, but all sounds eventually fade into silence. No one can keep a cloud around Arturia. The soul is frail. Even the most powerful emotions and the greatest desires will inevitably reach their respective ends. Even for the strongest of souls? Is that not what you're here for? I'm leaving all my emotions and memories to you. Did you find what you were looking for? Yes, perhaps. I'll know soon. Goodbye, Arturia. I hope you find your answer in melody. Cora Levenstein, my gentle and stubborn friend, I was glad to have you on this journey. I'll work to achieve the future we sought together. You and I will meet again in melody. Cora is fading away?
Get away from her!
Herr Rainer. Cora.
There is no need to explain. You made your decision and put it to action. As for the rest, this isn't the time to speak of it, for neither of us.
The Black Flame took her. It was similar to what happened at Ludwig's Universität.
They were both Hakonsson's arts, but not quite the same. The caster in that incident was an imitator who activated them by force, but this power feels almost like his own. Red black energy rumbles in the clouds. It does not impatiently tear, swallow, and spread. Instead, it paces, watches, and waits on that throne in the clouds. Do you see it? The great Hakonsson has heeded our call and granted us an audience. He has called forth the staircase leading to his eternal spire, the Genesis Horn. The followers of the Witch King laugh. They play the most piercing notes on their instruments, aiming them at their own chests and throats. In response, the black clouds extend several tendrils towards them. The dying cultists kiss the hand that their king has extended and become one with the black flame, ascending to become part of the dark cloud that now hovers above the twin spires. The sky cracks with a distant roar. Leithanien's greatest and most terrible sovereign, Hakonssson, issues his edict to his people. Hakon's horn is really back. We have a problem. Bound by the arts inherent to the movement, the people continue to play. But the altered Guldens Gesetz now only feeds Hakon's horn's power. What did you just do? Try to shoot the cloud. Now's not the time for this madness. Madness? Not at all, Lessing. Do you know how long I've waited for this moment? I was destined for this ever since his noise was forced into my head. No, since the day I was born. You told me to fight, to face my responsibility and sins head on. And you were completely right. Hakon's horn is my sin, and it's my responsibility to face him. I just need a way to drag him down from his palace in the clouds, or wherever he is.
Or I could send you up.
What? An invisible threat catches him by the collar. It is light, gentle, and cool. Suddenly it constricts. Who are you?
Rude to yell at someone who just saved your life, don't you think?
The black flame, it landed right where I was standing.
Listen to Lessing and stop shaking your wand at the clouds. He can be a little stiff, but he's more reliable than most.
That was awfully sudden, Ermengarde.
We're expecting a schedule, a timetable. I rushed all the way back from Castel. Look how much wear and tear there is on my cube thing. My hat got all dirty too. Mind if I clean it with your horn?
Yes.
You're no fun.
Just keep your hands off my horns. How bad is the situation?
Extremely. I don't even need witchcraft to tell you that much. This place is filled with threats that don't belong to it. It's so messy not even a lich could clean it up. A little rain wouldn't solve anything.
Are you a lich too?
Do I not look the part?
I thought...
You thought liches were old men with long white beards dressed in robes, covering head to tail, with skeletal staves in their hands?
I thought liches would have more refined vocabularies. What happened to the old man?
You know the first thing about him, don't you? Of course he went straight into that cloud. He strode back from the border of Leithanien the moment Hakon's opened his eyes on the throne. And he pulled on all our threats too. I'm sure even the liches of Kazel could hear his cursing.
How many of you are here?
Everyone who could come. Do you realize how inconvenient this is? It's like you were planning to move and had loaded all your scrolls and talismans on the truck. Then the very next day you hear that your old home is getting blown up. I mean, can't you Leithanians keep things together for even a single day without us? The liches are back. This is a serious situation. The Genesis horn is about to descend. Grimmacht, your violin.
Good. We haven't played together in a while, Isolate.
Yeah. The ensemble performance should come to a close, as it is custom. Then it's our turn.
Hakon's horn, the calamity that Leithanien has always been destined to face. We already beat him once. We can do it again. It's the Kaiserin's melody.
Grimmacht and Ewige Gnade have made their move.
Do what you need to, Viviana. We'll do our part as well. Golden light floods out from the Gesetzeswächter's sword and armor. As the light engulfs him, the other Gesetzeswächter respond to their Empress's melody. Beams of art shoot toward the sky from every corner. drawing closer together and joining up. The sky is covered in black, but an even brighter cloud rises from the ground. Under the golden arc, the sound of an organ gently covers those beneath the twin spires, while the violin's passionate soaring notes pierce the roiling clouds like a sword. Dozens of hands weave thousands of threads, plucking at the melody in the sky and the wind, making them even clearer. The Twin Empresses, the Gesetzeswächter, and the Liches. All the guardians of Leithanien stand together against its former king, now returning from the void. The chaos grows.
Only Kaiserin's melody can fight Hakon's horn.
Melody, organ, violin, and cello.
I can't hear the cello.
It's a part of the noise, not at all like ordinary music. Your ears are accustomed to hearing music, but mine are equally receptive to all forms of sound. The conclusion is clear. Arturia has escaped from prison. The Witch King's echoes in the flames can be heard producing piercing noise. What is this? The falling black flame. It's standing up like a human? Is it the work of Originium Arts or...
The unfortunate truth is, I probed them with witchcraft, and there are fragments of human emotions contained in the art's energy within.
Are they still alive?
Of course not. Even we who deal with death on a daily basis couldn't survive with neither a body or a soul. What we're seeing are merely shadows of their former lives, or as the fanatics would put it, echoes.
Good for them. I guess their dream came true.
It's not good news. Normally such echoes can only exist in, how to put this, a space where flesh and blood cannot exist, or anything else tangible. Where there is no concept of life or death, no passage of time, the only thing that can survive there is information. Under normal circumstances, echoes are simply trails of information that exist only as a lingering illusion. But the emotions I felt in that black flame were flowing.
Get to the point.
You're as impatient as a block of wood. Fine, you're not liches. Long story short, reality is being encroached upon, and Hakon's has really spruced up that little pocket dimension of his. His consciousness probably lives on within.
So, you said you could send us up?
Absolutely. But are you sure about this? Like I said, no one's ever been inside, other than Hakon's.
If he can exist there, why couldn't I? Might as well try.
Oh, to be young and daring. After dealing with boring, depressed old folks and the mercenaries of Castle for so long, I forgot you Leithanians could be interesting. Unfortunately, not even liches have a way to send the living into that space. Entering the Genesis Horn requires a stable connection between the two dimensions. It's like me calling out to my teacher, and him answering in response.
Could the bleeding of these masked loonies actually wake him? Absolutely not. The old man spent over a decade trying everything he could think of, from ancient Sarka's witchcraft to the latest Leithanian arts, all to no avail.
He even tried bringing the Temple of the Liches directly to Zwillingstürme until the other masters came together to stop him.
Can you tell where the source of the problem is?
It's right in front of us, the Twin Empresses spires. Would you like me to exile the Twin Spires along with everybody inside? I mean, I could. It's not even hard. I could exile all of Zwillingstürme if you want.
If that was a joke, it's not funny.
Fine. Then when it comes down to it, you won't be relying on us liches to act, right? Your Gesetzeswächter have drawn the curtains. What would they do if the Genesis Horn goes out of control, to the point where even the Twin Empresses couldn't stop it?
They destroyed the twin spires along with the entire amphitheater. More piercing noise. Here it comes again. The remnants of the Witch King. They just won't leave me alone, even in death. Ermengarde and I will take care of the matters here. Go to the Twin Empresses spires and find the path into the Genesis Horn. Take this. What's this? A cloth knot? No mementos, please. I don't need them. It's a communicator, not a memento. The liches use threads to communicate with each other. I don't know Sarka's witchcraft, so I have to rely on a physical object. Pull the knot lightly, like this, and Ermengarde and I will receive the message. You'd better.
Don't worry, he'll be fine. Maybe a little mortally wounded, but I can fix that.
Now go and face what you need, Ebenholz. Everything I need to protect is below. Besides, someone needs to watch your back and keep your escape route open. Alright, I'll try to come back alive. I know you will. You too. Who goes there? A Sancta and an Imperial caster?
Hello, my name is Viviana Droste. The Imperial casters are all on the bridge below, fighting Hakon's alongside the Kaiserin, and I didn't expect to run into anyone on this floor.
Operator Ebenholz. Wait, you're also with Rhode Island? Huh. What are the odds? I am an executor of LATERANO's notarial hall. We have a cleaning agreement with Rhode Island. I was permitted to access some operator records while aboard the landship.
Rhode Island? I have a few friends with a lot of history with that place. Does that mean we're on the same side?
More piercing noise can be heard. They've caught up. Do you hear it? Above, near the top.
Yeah, it's getting clearer.
A cello? Yes, it is Arturia's music. A greyish rain falls on the balcony, flowing backwards before it can touch Arturia's strings, and forming a cloud before her. Or rather, a smoke ring. I knew the arts of those Caprinae couldn't stop my smoke ring.
And here I thought my first audience member would be my obsessed little brother.
Enough, little angel. No one wants to hear you play.
I thought you wished to enter the Genesis Horn, Herr Fremont. The Austera Authority, too. You all want to clean up Hakon's grim legacy, but deep down you harbor other desires. Grimmacht wants power. As for you, such deeply etched emotions. The Witch King's closest confidant, a clash of ideologies, and a joining of arts. Your friendship was practically synonymous with Leithanien's golden age. And doesn't your parting of ways make this reunion of old friends all the more alluring?
What are you, Are you reading my mind? Not even the King of Sarkas dare browse my scrolls. Watch yourself if you're doing so, Angel.
The music of your heart simply resonates with mine. Just as my music reaches the ears of many, I can't choose not to hear the whispers of your heart.
That's your little trick. Your music was the key. Hakon's true melody had nothing to do with that score he scribbled down.
The soul of the traitor will lead them to the lost Genesis Horn. Zeman, Loris, Brandt, Gerhard, and Cora. I found the Witch King's final words buried in the depths of their emotions.
Good for you. You got to hear his dying ramblings. Would you like a medal from Leithanien? You can take it and scram. Flutter on back to LATERANO. A grey cloud appears beneath Virtuosa. It explodes and engulfs the Sancta and her instrument.
Sorry, Haframo. I cannot stop. I must see Hakon-san. I want to play him. I want to feel the life he led, his thoughts in his last moments, and the intense emotions that still echo in these skies above Leithanien, long after his death. I want an answer.
Your parlor tricks will only hasten your death, Sancta.
I tried, Professor. I buried my head in tomes of the spire, looking for an answer within their pages. Lives are so fragile, one wrong choice and they're gone forever. But Hakon-san's will remains unwavering, even in death, like an everlasting spire. What makes him so special? Can Hakon-san truly be killed? His hearts are inside both me and Hildegard. We were weapons made to fight him. Was he ever truly mortal, if only something designed to defeat him can do so? They say you told Hakon-san the secrets of eternity, hiding behind a curtain not belonging to this land. He has avoided the gaze of death himself. What is that dimension like? Knowledges have studied it for thousands of years, but no one has ever entered it other than Hakon-san. By doing so, he's learned more than any of us. Are you not curious? Don't you want to steal the Genesis Horn and take it for the Liches? We could bring back all of its knowledge. The Sarkas could make use of it. Risk? Since when do we need to listen to the twins? Leithanien has never been our country.
The risk comes from the dimension itself. The void, the endless demons. The void is far from empty. It is filled with danger, the unknown. No. Enough.
What was that blackness just now? Was it your last death, Helfermo? You glimpsed into the void. It almost swallowed you. I've heard that the Liches can extend their lives almost indefinitely. Then, do you still feel fear when facing the destruction of the flesh?
You're talking about matters you do not and should not understand.
Why not? Life is short. Why must we approach its conclusion knowing nothing?
The forbidden is forbidden for a reason. If you won't abandon your pursuit, then you'll have to die here. Thousands of threats rain down from the void behind the Lich, faster than a gale and thicker than a deluge. They wrap themselves around Arturia's cello, her bow and strings, as well as her hands and torso. Exile. The old Lich has no plans to allow her to return to LATERANO. He wants her to disappear completely. Arturia smiles. She draws her bow, perhaps for the last time.
Forgive me my ignorance and arrogance, Haframa. But I'd rather die the very next second than fall into the void, be lost to chaos. Then stop playing.
The last note sounds. Before she is swallowed by the infinite void, Arturia knows her performance is complete. Do you see it, Ermengarde?
Thanks for the heads up. There are so many threads here that my soul was almost shaken from my body before I could see clearly.
That's the Genesis Horn. It looks so much like the Witch King's legendary spire. dark cloud cracks. It is like a great eye slowly opening up in the void. Reflected within is none other than the dark spire last seen 23 years ago. Right in between the twin spires, right where it used to be. Was the Genesis Spire ever truly toppled? Did Hakon's the Witch King, ever truly die? Did every Leithanian's nightmare just return, or did it never leave? The sound of the cello is gone. Arturia.
Hergialo!
The knot is moving. It's a warning from Lessing and the Lich. This place is normal. Extinguish your candle, Frau Droste. Don't use any arts. I have no idea what's going to happen next.
The stairs, they've changed? Is this some kind of arts? An illusion created by Frau Giallo's music? Or something else? Herr Ebenholz? Only faint footsteps.
Soon, not even that. The spiral staircase continues to extend further and further, until its end is no longer in sight. Am I walking up or down? Viviana feels her consciousness grow distant. All she knows for sure is that she is alone on these stairs.
The doctor will be here soon. Are you crying, Viviana? I don't think I have the strength to wipe away your tears anymore. You're too kind, too gentle. I often think back to the day we first met. I had come from Zwillingstürme to Stormland just to take you out of Vanna's spire. You huddled in the back seat, holding onto your tiny suitcase and leaning gently against my chest. I was wondering, was this little girl scared to leave her father? Scared of life in foreign Casimirs? But no, you were just trying to stay low, so no one would see your horns and cause trouble for Vanna. Even though it was so late at night, no one would have paid attention to a car leaving the great spires of the Kurfürst. You were so little back then. I don't remember that. Nein, you do. You can lament, you can blame, you can mourn, you can regret, you can rage. All that, and only then can you. Please, don't leave me. You're the only one I have left. Let me see you one last time. I'm right here. I'm so glad. I can't see the expression on your face right now. You deserve a better life than this, Viviana, if there really is one.
Tall as the Empress's tower is, it is not endless, or so she believes. The spiral staircase extends before her, but the erection itself seems to be torn apart by some unknown, irreversible power. She keeps moving forward, but she can't make any progress. Viviana is tired, and when one is tired, it is easy to notice what one has lost. Not unlike the 22 years of her life.
Are you lost?
Viviana looks up. She sees a young Caprine woman, whose face is filled with curiosity and concern.
Sorry, I must have bumped into you in my hurry. It's alright. Are you okay? You look very pale. I'm fine. I was just thinking about something. Do you know this place well? Yeah, I live nearby. Where does this lead? Didn't you come here on your own? Where it leads is entirely up to where you want to go. Take care now. I'll be going. Where I want to go.
Viviana's fingers brush the handrail next to her. Ochre paint covers the emblem of Ortica under a thick layer of dust, so bright it could have been painted yesterday.
The Witch King.
She recalls the historical novel, Die Glut. When the Witch King first ascended to the throne, he gave his builders a blueprint of the Genesis Spire, a monument so great, the likes of which Leithanien had never seen. Simply gazing upon the plans was enough to make one short of breath, as though standing before its foundation. The Witch King was scrupulous about every last detail of the Genesis Spire, down to the materials and paints used for every fence and railing, which must have never fade in color. It would become the sole symbol of Leithanien.
Has the Genesis horn fully descended? But that woman just now...
Viviana comes to a startling realization. The Capricorn who just passed by was like one of the young people living on the outskirts of Zwillingstürme, in the prime of her life, busy and tireless, her voice emanating the warmth of a fresh cup of tea. She should not be here, neither at the Empress's spire, nor in the Genesis horn. Viviana turns around. No one is there.
What about you, Viviana? Why are you here? Why did you come back to Leithanien? Why did you leave?
You couldn't say goodbye to your father. You couldn't return to the spire of your childhood, that tower you memorized along with the rain and wet moss. You watched Cora die in your arms. You couldn't take her away from this dusk-scorched city. What can you stop? What can you change? What can you possibly accomplish? If the Witch King isn't dead, if he sits at the end of this endless spire, would you beg him for enlightenment, just like those fanatics? It really does sound a bit absurd. The staircase stretches on and on, until Viviana sees a door in an inconspicuous corner. A tiny, familiar door. Attempting to turn left at each intersection to ensure progress through continuous deviation. Unsuccessful. Attempting to descend. Fail to reach bottom of staircase after 45 minutes. Attempt unsuccessful. Federico has spent a long time on the staircase of the Empress's spire. He stops in his tracks after yet another failed attempt. At the most basic level, arts are a rigid form of order. The Twin Empresses would not have hired a mentally ill architect to design their spires, and no artificer could have recreated such orderless architecture. My judgment was impaired due to my experience at Ludwig's Universität's Sonata Spire. The distortion occurring within this tower is unrelated to arts. As the Genesis horn covered the entire spire, causing changes in reality, Arturia's music is also absent. After a brief pause, Federico pulls out his shotgun and fires in front of him. The sound of the gunshot fills the space, but the projectiles vanish right before his eyes, as though wiped away by some formless something.
Sancta!
As he hears the sound, Federico sees the projectiles again, now moving with a slow and clear trajectory, like a rock skipping across the water. Ripples spread and everything beneath the surface is revealed.
Put away your gun, please.
This is...
Put away your gun, please.
I do not require you to repeat yourself. I've heard something similar from everyone I met on this mission.
Of course you did. This is Zwillingstürme, not LATERANO. Loris always liked to talk about LATERANO. He said that when the Sancta go out, they bang any buildings they don't like, and bang the buildings they do like even more eagerly. Jan and I used to think he was making things up because he didn't like his hometown very much. Anyway, look around you. Zwillingstürme is an old city. Any brick or tile could have a score or a poem etched into it by a drunk artist from a century ago.
This is... Federico quickly assesses the sight before him. If this place is the Genesis Horn, where the Witch King's legacy is kept, Arturia's final destination, then it is difficult to believe that his bullets could have broken through some sort of barrier and brought him here from that strange staircase. Federico examines the woman before him. The anger on her face is no more and no less than that of a citizen performing her civic duty to stop a rude tourist.
Do you understand me, Herr Sancta? Put away your gun, please.
Excuse me. We are clearly not on the streets of Zwillingstürme, but you seem unaware of this. You have mentioned a Loris and a Jan. Assuming you are referring to Loris Borden and Jan Schüler, please tell me your name.
Julia Schüler. This is inside the Genesis Horn, the Witch King's resting place. But the Witch King...
Stop looking around, little angel.
You caught up. I'm not surprised.
I wish I could say the same. The last thing I expected was for you to actually cling to a lich's thread and be voluntarily exiled.
So where is the Witch King?
Dead. What else?
No, I should be able to sense him. His arts, his emotions, his will. If I just...
Arturia looks around. It is a space without boundaries, defined by only indescribable flows of light, like the respiration of the void. She steadies her cello, puts her hand on the strings, and sets her bow. Silence. Bow touches string, but the vibration produces no sound. The motion familiar to her, so natural, has lost all meaning here. Finally noticed.
I can't play. I've lost my music. Is it because of the Genesis Horn, or the rules of the Witch King?
Arrogant, foolish, witless. That petty halo over your head is shedding light on your pale face. I wish you could do the same to your brain. Where do you think you are right now? Inside Hakonsson's coffin, a treasure trove of the Pashas of Sargon, a witch's magic pocket for a Victorian fairy tale.
Herr Fremont.
Fremont, responding back in sarcasm, the beginning and end of all threads. As though muttering to himself, Fremont speaks an unfamiliar word in sarcasm. Or maybe the name he gave it would be more in line with your understanding. Fremont in Leithanien, desolate domain.
Kargereich?
What you're seeing is the other side of the real, a dimension always in flux. Any rule, any reality disintegrates before it in an instant. Through the long eons, the liches have caught on in glimpses of it, and despite Hakonsson's life's work, the best he could manage was to create a tiny volatile bubble in this infinite void. Arturia does not respond to Fremont's anger. She simply touches these strings again, the unbroken hush. There is no disappointment or fear, only confusion. An emotion that only flashes across Arturia's face before she looks up and smiles.
Perfect. So the Witch King didn't prolong his will through mystical arts, but instead created his own retreat in Kargereich. This pocket still exists, so he must be here. It's just that there's still a way to go to reach his throne.
Aren't you curious what happens if you're exiled again in Kargereich? Arturia realizes that the shadows are growing. The Lich's witchcraft had been moving while she was speaking. Thread-like shadows grow into thick vines around Fremont, merging into the ambiguous colors of the ground and begin to come at her. Death and extinction, decay in its full bloom.
I still haven't found my answer. I have to rediscover my music. I must perform the Witch King. I can't
die yet. She is perfectly willing to meet her end performing, But what she can't accept is to fade into silence, with the truth so near. The shadows crack, and a grey rain rushes up to engulf all. A Witch King's musician can be heard. Divina Autumn rings! Go to the Genesis Spire. The performance begins. New music, new arts. Protecting Vendunian against catastrophe and the cannons of Gaul. Hackathon. Reality is unstable here. Was it caused by the exile? No, it was like this before we entered Kargerreich. Hackathon's power is diminishing. The Genesis Horn's collapse is accelerating.
I'm still alive? The melody, it's gone.
She clung to the one string of sound distinct from the environment and escaped the threads of exile. Now the melody has become tangible, emerging from the void and descending before her. It has taken the human form. An unintelligible sound can be heard.
Was it your melody that saved my life?
The sound repeats.
Were you a spire caster of the Witch King? The Witch King? How could you think that? I'm sorry. Careful, keep your voice down. Is someone after you? You're hurt. Stay put and hide here. Don't worry, I know this place well. No one will find it.
Well then. Shenanigans. Shenanigans. Dimensional shenanigans. But yeah, anyway, also look at that, Yulia! I'll tell you what, on initial reading, her appearing there had me going like, that isn't who I think it is, right? Oh, shit, what? But yeah, anyway, you guys see in a moment where this is gonna go. But before we do so, we have 2 new enemies to add here, actually. One is the Remnant Orchestra Drummer who wants to set the beat for their king's music. Every beat he drums is filled with pain, for he punishes himself to achieve steady rhythm. The other one is the Remnant Orchestra Cellist who wants to be their king's trusted henchman. He lives to earn their king's favor, for which he is willing to play obsequious tunes. Nice. Oh, also, forgot to mention, yes, I did finally use the CG cutscene that I usually always like to use somewhere in this whole thing. And yes, the CG cutscene is not to one-to-one story related or stuff like that, but references certain story elements. And this felt like the best part to use it, just to have a bit more of a also 3D visualization of the whole, you know, weird corridors and passages and stuff like that, and stuff. But yeah, felt appropriate to use it here finally. So I did. Anyway, we move on to our training stage, which obviously has no cutscenes, no nothing. So we shall do the usual, titled Composer's Craft. There is no order to be found within chaos. You must grasp whatever little you can. Moving on to stage number 8. Nocturn Unseen Spire. There are too many futures unseeable, too many spires unreachable, and so the ferryman sings this nocturne. Let's begin.
You're just stand there. Come inside. Let me show you around my room. What do you think? You decorated it yourself? Leonie helped. It's so spacious and bright. Viviana, your room is lovely. Thank you. This room gets more sunlight than any other room in the entire spire. As shy and lazy as Stormlight Sun is, it never feels too dark in here, even on the cloudiest days. And then there's the veranda. It runs along the entire wall of the room. Look at that view! How far you can see. Look there! At what? The green roof over there. It's the Glenlossie Botanical Garden. Moody took me there a few times. It has so many plants we don't see in Stormland, or even Greater Leithanien. But I love its roof the most. Some Bolivarian clawvines work their way up there. It's probably too tall to easily get up onto the roof to trim them, so the staff just lets them grow. And now they've covered the entire thing. In springtime, clusters of pink flowers bloom from the vines, and the roof looks like a pink cloud. And now in summertime, it's deep green. The leaves of those vines never drop. By autumn, the roof will turn gold, and in winter, only a perfect sheet of white will remain. Yeah, I can picture it now. Beautiful. No matter how busy Fatih was with his government work, he would always take the time out of his day to come and visit. Woody would paint the scenery while he quietly told me their stories. Viviana. Yes? Can you share those stories with me? Of Muti and Fatih? That day in Marigold Alley, when he waited for her? Fatih said he was determined to say goodbye to her, but once he saw her, he couldn't bring himself to turn and go. Viviana, if two hands are destined to join, why let the lands come between them? So cheesy. Anyway, Fatih brought Muti back to Stormland. He stood right there beneath the spire, telling the Vervids and Bigwigs that if they didn't show Muti the proper respect, he'd never return to Hawkback Spire again. Nor would he succeed at Kurfürst. And did the nobles accede? They did. All because Fatih stood below the spire for 3 whole days. Many men came to either change his mind or just shout at him, but none succeeded. They had no choice but to give in. Werner von Hochberg protected his love, like a hero from a storybook. They were married with the blessings of everyone around them. Viviana von Hochberg, your birth too won the blessings of all. Wunderbar. Oh, what was that?
Viviana, this is a wonderful life.
Is that Leonie? The door's open.
A maid walks in. Viviana looks to hide, but the maid goes straight for the little girl, as if she doesn't see Viviana at all.
Leonie, are you here for the carpet? Fräulein Droste, please step aside. It's a masterpiece by a Minoan craftsman. Very comfortable under my feet, and the image of the lake and white walls on it is so vivid. I can almost feel the wind blowing when I look at it. Why do you love this carpet? She worked long and hard, scribbling so many poems for others, just to be able to buy it. When she left Zwillingstürme, she didn't bring much luggage with her, but she did bring this carpet. So, it would sell for a bit of money. You have to understand, the dame. The spire is otherwise empty. Your room is the last decent thing in the place. If she could help it, the dame wouldn't touch a thing in here. But since Kurfürst Werner's death, she has been troubled by all sorts of people. She sold everything that could be sold. You're due to go study in Colombia, which takes no small amount of coin. She hopes you won't have to live in poverty abroad. Oh, but I could always not go. That won't do, Fräulein. You ought to leave Sturmland, to leave Leithanien. The Dame said as much to the Kurfürst 2 years ago, but it was only recently he gave the nod. You ought to set out soon, lest he change his mind. What about Mutti? Can't she come with me? The Dame is at the Kurfürst's beck and call. She must remain in the spire. I should speak to Uncle Shield. Fräulein, he may be your paternal uncle, but he is now Kurfürst of Sturmland. Just 2 years after the late Kurfürst Viviana took the seat, he was assassinated while touring the domain. His marriage to the Dame offended a lot of people, and some have speculated it was Shield himself. What am I thinking? Why would I even tell you this? Leonie, I have a question, and I'm not sure who to ask. Go ahead. If Mutti and Fati had lived an ordinary life, a commoner's life, would we have been happy? Fräulein, you've always been the sort of girl who sees things as they are. You know what's going on. Pack your things, put your beloved books and art collections in that rattan box there. I'll take care of the carpet and come and put the rest in order.
The Latvian girl looks out at the city below the veranda. The wind is her only company now. They say the roof of the Glenlossie Botanical Garden is beautiful, but what's there to appreciate? But the night shrouds all.
Frau Giallo? It seems I really can't hear the voices anymore. No obvious wounds on you. Could your hearing be impaired? No, it's just much quieter than I'm used to. Even as you're standing right in front of me, I still feel so distant from you. Oh, is this a little better? Maybe I should speak louder? No, that's not it. Let me take you somewhere nearby to rest. The ones chasing you should be far away by now. Come, I'll help carry the cello. Why are you gripping it so tightly? Your fingers are turning white. It must be very important to you. It is my eyes, my ears, my voice, and my heart. I'm ashamed to admit it, but there was a time when I was even afraid of it. Oh? It took me some time to learn how to get along with it. Soror, why are you sitting in a dark corner with the lights out? Amita Luciana doesn't know you've come back. Why did you skip cello practice after rowing in the park? Oh, I'm sorry. I seem to have kicked your cello. The instrument is expensive. If I've damaged it, I have the money to compensate you. Fede, take it away from me, will you? Hide it anywhere you like. The study, the attic, in storage. You can even throw it away. Are you crying? You played another piece you hadn't mastered yet. I don't know. As soon as I draw my bow across the strings, I hear voices. So many voices. They're real voices trapped in the bodies of men and women. They want to come out and I should help them. But they're too loud, too chaotic. So many crying voices, laughing voices, whispering voices, voices furiously complaining. They all surge together. They're so loud, Fede. I can hardly breathe. Are you unwell? Should I get Amita Luciana? I just need some quiet.
The room is quiet, except for the isolated sobbing in the corner. Two black halos look at each other, their cold, faint light being the only words they share.
Just be quiet for a while, just so my head doesn't hurt so much, just for a bit. I will get used to the voices. I just haven't mastered the skill yet. It didn't take me long to learn to row a boat today. All I had to do was row it through the thick fog to the island in the center of the lake. A song comes from the far shore. Are you singing? It's a folk song popular with buskers on the street. It's got a nice sound to it, but I'm a little tone deaf, so when Jan would come home after being bullied, I'd comfort him with this song. Thank you. You mentioned this street just now. Oh, yeah, Karl Schmidt Street. The people of Zwillingstürme also call it Marigold Alley.
Senora Schuller, you haven't answered my question. According to the records of the Zwillingstürme Gendarmerie, Freya Finn engaged in combat with a suspect to stop a kidnapping on Karl Schmidt Street in the autumn of 1085. The Baron was injured and unconscious for a period. When he awoke, both the suspect and the abducted Cabernet woman, 27-year-old Julia Schuller, were missing. Loris Borden took over the case and conducted a series of investigations, finding no promising leads. He found the Baron's testimony suspicious, with the only certainty being that the Baron was the last person to see you. He strongly believed that a secret lay hidden within, something like the Witch King's later experiments on infected civilians, and that you had become the target of the Baron. But under pressure from above, the Gendarmerie halted any subsequent investigation and closed the case as an accidental disappearance. Loris Borden took the case file back to his residence, and over the course of 15 years, it has grown increasingly thick. He never gave up on investigating the truth. He never gave up on looking for you, despite several clues indicating that Julia Schuller was already deceased. You have just informed me that this here is Karl Schmidt Street. In other words, you came to the Genesis Horn posthumously, and currently exist as a form of consciousness. In your cognition, you have never left the scene of the incident. So please tell me, what exactly happened in the course of that incident?
This is indeed Marigold Alley. We're standing in front of the piano studio at the intersection. Oh, Herr Executor, we've wasted so much time. I really have to place these arts devices in their proper places quickly. Those masked men will be coming soon. Do you mean to say that the Witch King's remains appear at various locations in Kargereich according to some knowable set of rules? Ah, are they the Witch King's remains? No, they're not the ones in reality, sowing chaos in the name of the Witch King. What you see are but manifestations of the Witch King's craft, the echoes of Hakon's Horn, in a truer sense. Klagenfolgen, to follow the sounds, that's the way to see the Witch King. Why would the Witch King be in Zwillingstürme? Although I suppose it makes sense. I'm already dead, and the Witch King is too, so we're in the same place. That's logical enough. It would also explain all these strange happenings. Perhaps, having lost the sound of music, I can no longer perceive what you see in your eyes. Why do you call this place Zwillingstürme? Are you blind too? Frau Giallo, do you see the Musikinstrumententürme? The what?
Arturia looks in the direction the Cabernet woman is pointing, and sees nothing but vague light and shadow.
Reichsmusikhochschule has towers, the Musikinstrumententürme, but only 11. Reichsmusikhochschule is the most famous landmark in Bachshof. Each spire of the Royal Academy is inspired by a musical instrument, and was named for it upon completion. There are 11 instruments, and when Herr Bach presided over the Glorreiches Kapitalprojekt a grand urban plan, he added 11 more. 22 instrument spires corresponding to the 22 districts of Zwillingstürme, like a perfect symphony orchestra. Huh, you know your stuff. Yeah, but there are only 11 Musikinstrumententürme here. This is not the Reichsmusikhochschule of Zwillingstürme, but that of the Witch King's time. And behind us is a tilted spire, circular, the color of jade. Der schiefe Turm der Ewigkeit, the Leaning Tower of Eternity? It was originally the spire of some Kurfürst or other. It began to lean due to changes in the strata, and with the support of the magnificent arts of the spire casters, it maintained its baffling tilt without collapsing. This miracle of Leithanien architecture was destroyed in a catastrophe 4 centuries ago. Not only that, I see der Wiener Uhrturm, das auf den Kopf gestellte Strafgebäude, die Tür des Wissens, der Schönbrunn-Turm. Countless spires of different eras, forms, and functions. I've only read about them in books, or heard of them in stories from my elders. But here they all stand. This isn't Zwillingstürme, but it's not Vedunian either. I think the most proper name for it would be Leithanien. The only part that feels familiar is Marigold Alley beneath my feet. At the intersection sits a piano studio, at the end of the street is an art gallery, and right in the middle is my cafe. I'm glad they're still here. I've rediscovered them. Here I can still live just the way I used to. So, unfamiliar as this place is, I would still rather call it Zwillingstürme. Maybe you haven't rediscovered your own life. Rather, it's because of your life that you came to be here. Oh! There are only 9 Musikinstrumententürme left. When did the Klavierturm and the Waldhornturm vanish? Herr Ramon was right. The Genesis horn is accelerating its collapse. Frau Giallo, do you see it now? I'm going out. Would you like to come with? All right. Give me a moment. What is it? 3, 2, 1. Frau Seemann, guten Abend!
The window facing the street opens in response, and a woman with a furrowed brow holds a paintbrush, gazing into the distance. The young girl waves at her, smiling as bright as the marigolds lining the alley.
Frau Seemann takes a break and opens her window every day right at this time. She paints all morning, then looks into the distance, listening to music, relaxes, and looks for inspiration. That's odd. Looks like she's in a bad mood today. She closed the window without waving back. Maybe she's having trouble with her art. I should go and see her with Mutti tonight. You know the neighborhood well, Viviana. You mean Carl Schmidt Street? Of course I do. I've been here all 10 years of my life. Did your parents always live here? They were away for brief stints a few times. I'm not sure why, but they always came back. When you compare it to the rest of the Zwillingstürme, Carl Schmidt isn't anything special. We've got a few flower shops, a bar, paint stores, and some stout buildings. We don't even have a spire. The people here are ordinary, plus a few struggling artists and nobles, but my parents really like it here. Haven't they ever had any trouble? Fatih mentioned some trouble before, but he's been prepared for anything since he decided to stay. Did Werner von Hochberg find a way to become common? Fatih's not so common. He may only teach literature at the commoner school in Wien, but the big kids there respect him a lot. I see. He probably used all his connections in Sturmland and Zwillingstürme, spent all his savings, maybe even changed his appearance. It's no small thing to give up everything one has. By the way, Viviana, is that a cake you're holding? Yeah, the lady next door taught me. The marigold stamen has a bitterness to it, but when grounded into powder and pinched into a cake, its fragrance helps balance the sweetness. Mutti found a job in Boxhof, earning a bit more than before. She works as an editor for her favorite poetry journal. She gets home very late though. So I said I'd bring her lunch for a whole month.
Isn't that exhausting?
You smell that?
What?
When the breeze picks up the fragrance of the coffee shop up ahead, wafts on over. I help with as much as I can so Mutti and Fati won't be so tired, at least enough that they can take me to Frau Seemann's gatherings on the weekends. They hold my hands as we walk down the long alley to her house. There are so many interesting people there. They play the piano so well and speak so eloquently. I like it here. I don't think it's exhausting.
I'm glad of that. Viviana, this is a wonderful life too. What's this? Wasn't that Lucinda? How could such a well-behaved commoner have offended anyone? Did she write something she shouldn't have? Why did the authorities come so quickly? Is there an explanation?
They were gone so quick as they came. What else can we say?
Be careful what you ask. It probably has something to do with her husband. Vanna? I've heard he's actually the heir to the Kurfürst of Sturmland, living incognito with his wife and daughter on Karl Schmidt Street for the past decade. I've gotten along with him so well all these years. I'd never have guessed. He's hidden himself so well.
Oh, how could it be? Rumor has it Vanna didn't show up to class this morning. Who knows if he was taken away by a Hochback vessel or the Empress's voice? Odds are it was Frida Seemann who gave him up. That woman's out of her mind.
Shh, shh, shh. Keep her voice down. The cake thuds and it falls to the ground. Viviana hears sobbing. The fragile shoulders before her tremble, like flowers battered by the wind. She holds the girl's hand tightly.
Viviana, don't look.
Senora Julia Schuller, I perceive only vague silhouettes of the remnants. Could you clearly point out the location where they may be hidden? My patron firearm may be of use. I will guarantee your safety.
Herr Executor, you may have misunderstood. Those men aren't here to do anything to me. When I first saw the masked people, I would keep my distance and hide, but I later found they weren't concerned with me at all. Their appearance in any particular part of Zwillingstürme usually means there's a new threat. They're more like a signal.
Threat?
Not a true threat. I don't know how to explain it. It's like a natural disaster beyond human comprehension, abnormally bad weather, or a waking nightmare. The atmosphere in Zwillingstürme has taken a turn for the worse, especially recently. The clouds are heavy, and even the sunset looks faded. I'm always hearing loud, thundering noises. Several times I awoke to find a whole chunk of Zwillingstürme completely empty. So many prominent buildings seemingly dug away by something, leaving only an empty space where they once were, like a whole section of history had been erased. The threats erased the spires of different eras without a trace, gradually consuming all of Zwillingstürme. And sooner or later the small alley I live in will be next.
So you jumped out to prevent me from using my patron firearm. You've been protecting this place.
Yeah, I've never seen you before. I've had a powerful premonition this time.
A premonition. Such feelings are usually nothing more than psychological indicators. Without backing in logic, it is difficult to take action upon them. But the Witch King's remains have indeed appeared.
Executor, when you live in a place for 5 or 10 years, when you become a part of it, you develop senses like a foul beast and can smell the storm before it comes. You would aid the echoes of Fakon's horn? No, this is my own thing. Even if it didn't appear today, I'd find a way myself. But how will you fight against those disasters, the weather, or the waking nightmares? With those arts devices you're carrying? The truth is, I've been going to different places at around this time each day, especially to those blanks and the edges where buildings have vanished. That's dangerous. But I collected enough devices from those places. They seem to be some sort of echo device that collects arts information. Frau Giala, if the masked men truly are the echoes of Fakon's horn, then these echo devices must be what the Witch King used to deal with his enemies. They'll surely come in handy. Are you going to renovate the street yourself? Marigold Alley is on the outskirts of Bodenshof, very inconspicuous. No one comes here deliberately, except some tourists, painters, and wandering poets. Even all of Bodenshof, taken against the 22 districts of Zwillingstürme, isn't all that special. And in this Zwillingstürme, with its many storied historical spires, maybe no one would even notice such an ordinary alley. But it's where I was born and raised. No one knows it better than me. I know when it's lively and when it's quiet. I know all its sounds, the singing of wandering troubadours, the humming tunes of pedestrians, the busy footsteps of the cobblestones, and the sound of rain against the marigolds and awnings. I know where the resonance pipelines buried beneath the street are still functional. I know which art sculptures on the corners can replace the broken parts, and how to connect them all in the most convenient way, and then activate them with these echo devices. But you don't know what the modified resonance pipelines will even do. These devices left in those empty areas suggest that... Oh, but Frau Giala, there's something I have to do. And I can always do something. I told myself as much when I was very young. I said I'd take care of Jan and myself, and not be like our parents. Your parents? They passed away a long time ago. I think it was 1077. Your parents were persecuted during the Twin Empresses coup? 9, they were as common could be. They were sick at the time, and the tremendous sound of the Witch King's Genesis spire collapsing in the distance, the thromping of the soldiers outside the house, it all aggravated their illness. They always feared that at any moment the gendarmerie would burst in and take us away, or even level the entire block. In turbulent times like that, there is nothing so shocking. They died in terror even before Herr Bach could launch his glorious Capital project. When a terrible clamor drowns out everything else, we hear only the voices within ourselves. We find our fears and worries magnified. Julia, forgive me for not being able to better comfort you. That's alright. I just wanted to say that I can't let myself lose courage to live as I have been. Maybe you still don't see our surroundings clearly. We've walked all the way from the gallery at the end of the street down to the cafe where I've spent almost a decade. I started working there just to make ends meet. The owner was kind, letting me and Jan live in the shed behind the courtyard. I turned it into a proper home, and even set up a little space for Jan to practice his arts. The boy is gifted, you know. We saw casters using arts to repair sculptures on the street, and he watched for only a few moments before going home and spending the whole night turning his room into a sound control space. I've talked about it with Loris, and will send him to study arts at Ludwig's Universität. Loris intends to make a career in Zwillingstürme, and once he does, he'll give Jan a recommendation. Later, when this cafe was about to close down, I used all my savings to buy it for myself. I became the owner, the waitress, and even worked on making my own special blend of coffee for its grand reopening. Danger is unpredictable, but life is tangible. You only want to protect it. From the piano studio on the corner to here, there are a total of 8 resonance pipelines, and these echo devices happen to fit the interfaces on them. I told you they'd be useful.
That is logical. Bach tuned all of Zwillingstürme's resonance pipelines during his Glorious Capital project in order to adjust the arts arrays laid throughout the city during the reign of the Witch King.
We're just a few steps from my cafe now. The reconstruction project for this half is almost done.
Are they showing up again?
Yeah, right around the corner from the cafe. I guess I'll need to work faster.
What is it?
This feels familiar. Similar to a certain day, exactly the same even. It was the day I first opened the cafe. I stood by the door waiting for Loris and Jan. They were a little late. I knew the two of them wanted to do something special for the grand opening. They were a little too obvious about it. Loris went to order flowers in another part of the city, and specifically asked me to wait for him in the most conspicuous part of the block. He didn't even realize he'd left the order on the table when he came by to help the day before. Meanwhile, Jan had snuck into Frau Seemann's house a few times the week before. Nearly all the kids of Marigold Alley have asked her to paint them a souvenir still life at one point or another. I let them go anyway. The beginning of a new life. I promised Loris as much too. The wind was strong that morning, enough to make you feel dazed. There weren't many people out on the street. But I think I noticed two standing in the corner opposite the cafe. They had black masks on, with twisted patterns on them. They noticed me too. They walked over.
The Witch King's remains. That explains why you perceive the patterns in the Genesis horn as manifesting a concrete form. This was your only connection to the Witch King during your lifetime. Loris' speculation differed wildly from the truth. You just happened to be at the scene while the Witch King's remains were taking action. The city council had no intent to protect the nobleman. As one involved in taking action against the remains, one can imagine Friar Finn's ultimate fate. But early in the reign of the Twin Empresses, Zwillingstürme needed to disassociate the entire case from the Witch King and his remains. They halted the investigation, concealed the truth of the matter, and hastily closed the case. That was the most efficient approach.
What do you mean?
Julia Schuler, your death was entirely coincidental. I have uncovered the truth of the case. If recalling these details is a burden to you, please refrain from doing so.
9, Herr Executor. I only worry that this street may disappear from Zwillingstürme at some point, just like the long-gone spires. And that I'll never have the chance to keep my promise to Loris.
Logically speaking, you have already...
Executor, have you ever made any unfulfilled promises?
Since accepting my commission with the Notarial Hall, there have been 2 instances where the descendant's will was too ambiguous to be enforced, and 2 instances where the target was inadvertently destroyed in an explosion. No other circumstances.
Oh, I don't mean at work.
A promise.
Fede, What are you doing? Drawing. In the dark? It is not difficult. I am busying myself. You said you needed quiet. Gracias. What are you drawing? Laterano, by night. Why would you want to draw Laterano by night? Because the room is dark. Soror, the nasal tone of your voice has grown lighter. You've stopped crying. You said you would gradually master your playing. I believe in you. Everyone says you have a talent for music. In general, talent should not bring pain. I will master it, Fede. I have to. Are you going to finish your drawing? You seem to be having trouble. Well, I've completed the overall outline. Now I need to refine the details. But when night falls on Laterano, where is the first place to light up? I don't know. How about you wait for me to master my method and play my first piece? It won't take long. Then I can take you to the highest place, a point in Laterano, to see for yourself. That would answer your question, wouldn't it? Alright.
To me, a promise is a form of contract. When I made that contract, my cognitive abilities were not yet fully developed, and I was unclear of the obstacles she faced, as well as the painful meaning behind overcoming those obstacles. In undefined chaos, she herself was the first victim of her music. Therefore, understanding the full extent of her changes and preventing her from continuing to spread chaos is the responsibility I must fulfill.
Executor, is that why you've come to Zwillingstürme too? Is the person you're talking about also Sancta?
Arturia, female, 168 centimeters tall, straight black hair, a mole below her left eye, carries a custom-made cello. She arrived here before I did. Have you seen her?
Frau Giallo, you may not want to follow me any further. Why not? You just said that from the gallery at the end of the street to here, with your cafe just ahead, all the resonance pipelines here will be restored. What is it you're keeping from me? I believe he's the one who hurt you. He's a Sancta as well, yes, but he seems difficult to talk to. Federico? So he's here too. I appreciate your concern, but if it was my little brother who hurt me, you'd have found a few more bullet holes. So you're siblings? That's hard to imagine. Federico will definitely catch up to me. The discovery of gaps along the path once been following inevitably causes confusion, but for him that confusion isn't a ripple, it's a crack in the ice. Neither of us can stop until we find answers. Alright then. Whew. This is the last bit. The piano studio in the corner, the gallery at the end of the street, the beginning and the end. All the resonance pipelines converge here. Julia, I know what you want to say. This might not have any effect at all, and if so, I'll think of another way. I can't let myself hide away in my home, waiting for the storm to pass. The echo devices are all in place. Now it's time to activate the resonance pipelines.
Without direction, without daylight, everything is covered in shadow. The Genesis horn seems to be forever shrouded in mist. But Arturia perceives the illumination of the pipelines like a flame in the dark. Rolling out from the two of them, from near to far, the surrounding scenery gradually becomes clear. She sees everything as clearly as in Julia's eyes. A street lined with marigolds, countless peculiar spires. The place is not chaotic. It is one that exists beyond time and space, a grand construct. At the same time, music flows into her ears. It is the music of all Marigold Alley, and also a part of a grander movement, a composition that belongs to Herkunftshorn.
Julia, my cello is silent, but I've heard your innermost thoughts. They're touching. Allow me to express my gratitude.
Arturia bows to the Caprine before her.
So the most common soul and the most powerful are both written on the same sheet of music.
The eerie winged sculptures prostrate on both sides of Arturia, supporting towering stone pillars and angles defying mechanical explanation. No, the pillars are suspended in midair. A palace, solemn and majestic, befits a king. At the end of the steps, a man stands motionless with his throne. Red curtains sway and cast layers of light on him, veiling the monarch's countenance. But the infamous twisted horns belly his name.
I've seen you in so many fragments of history and legend. I've crossed paths with you in the memories of so many, including the Liches. But it wasn't until I saw Julia still alive that I caught the faint sense that this journey could really lead to a meeting with the man himself. Allow me to introduce myself. Arturia Giallo. Salutations, Otto Dietmar Gustav von Urtica, Herkunftshorn, Your Majesty, the Witch King.
Otto Dietmar Gustav von Urtica, Herkunftshorn. The big boy has finally shown himself. If you thought this section of the story was already wild, I think the next part is gonna get even wilder now. But that will be for another time. I have not read that part yet, as you can see, so I have no idea what the frick is gonna be happening in the rest of this thing, but considering that big bad is here, oh, it's gonna be interesting. Also, while we're still on the topic of Stage 8, I hope I'm not the only one who, upon initial reading or initial listening at least through this video, if this is the first time experiencing for you this segment of the story, I hope I'm not the only one who was really torn to shreds, or at least a tiny bit torn to shreds with the Viviana scenes during this, like, what if scenario for Viviana. Because, oh boy, the moment it started settling in with the first cutscene that she's essentially seeing a what if scenario for herself, and all of them are bad. All of them have kind of bad roots in them anyway. Parents dying, or even if it is happy-go-lucky for a while, still something bad happening to the parents. Either it's the father or the mother. One of them dies apparently. Oh, those scenes tore me to shreds. Just leave the poor woman alone, please. just let her be. Just toss her back to NEARL. Toss her back to NEARL. Let her and NEARL, I don't know, get married or some shit. Just get them out. Just get them out. Let them be happy. Get them out. Anyway, that was heart-wrenching. Also, God, that was a wild read as well. The multiple versions of Julia interacting with everybody essentially at the same time, still knowing, like, Julia became Legion. Also, very nifty way for Mr. Herkunftshorn to hide himself on the same page as a tiny innocent soul. Had a feeling something was up with her. But yeah, damn. At least Federico now knows what happened. and he can deliver on the promise, I guess. But yeah, we'll see next time how this continues. Oh, one quick thing. The music stuff here, the Herbst and Folgen stuff. I have finally gotten to the point where the unique music popped up finally. Two things. I feel like I recognize the music, but I cannot put my finger on where from and what it is. But I feel like I recognize it, especially because of the name and stuff, but I'm gonna leave all of that for the bonus episode. I did record myself when it popped up suddenly on screen, and I heard it for the first time. You'll hear it in the bonus episode when we get to that. One quick question though. Considering this is a unique composition, and I don't seem to be able to get it again, at least I haven't gotten it at any given point so far, I tried. Considering I only get it one time, I have not used it. I will use it probably in the bonus episode for something, just to see if something happens with it. I just want a simple answer. If I use the music, number one, do I get it back or can I make it again? Or number two, or rather, and number two, does something happen, yes or no, if I use it? If something happens, I'm gonna leave it as a blind reaction for the bonus episode, because that would be interesting. I'm just gonna leave that for there, because I also don't want to use the music in case it disappears, because I've seen it has a unique name when you look at the two different archives of it, where the lore description of it is. It's one name, two names, whatever the hell, plus description, plus music. In the selection screen where you use it for conversations, something else is written. So, I kind of want to keep it for that bonus episode. I don't want to use it until then. So, just that. Number one, if it's... if you can get it back, yes or no. And number two, if something happens, yes or no, if you use it on top. I have a feeling that that music plays a bigger role in something, but you guys can give me that answer, hopefully, because it's gonna be a while until I record the bonus episode, so we'll see. But yeah, anyway, story seems to get interesting right now. We'll see how it goes next time. Until then, I shall go and rest my voice, edit this part together, and post it for you guys. In the meantime, hope you enjoyed. Please consider leaving a like, it would help me a lot. Leave a comment. And yeah, if you want to join a membership, memberships are there. And as always, there is not going to be a video behind the membership paywall or something. It's literally just there to support me, my work, and the channel in general. Thank you very much. And I will see you in the next one. Until then, bye bye.